Ladies and gentlemen, there are power moves, and then there are Tagwirei power moves. And this one didn't happen in a boardroom, a secret fuel deal, or some shady procurement meeting. No, this was in full public view under the sun at what was supposed to be a charity golf event. A day meant for goodwill, laughter, and community. But in Zimbabwe, even the most innocent stage can turn into an exhibition of raw political dominance. There stood the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, wearing his trademark green and golf shirt, trying to look statesmanlike with a putter in hand. And walking into frame, no red carpet, no army salute, no Your Excellency protocol, was Kudakwashe Tagwirei, fuel magnate, tender baron, and arguably the most powerful unelected man in Zimbabwe today. Tagwirei stepped up, took a clean shot. Yes, his golf form was decent, and then approached the president, and that's when the real performance began. He delivered a hug, but not just any hug. This was not the respectful, deferential embrace one gives the leader of a country. No, this was the hug of a boss congratulating his junior. A good job, you are still useful to me kind of embrace. It wasn't protocol, it was patronage in motion. And it didn't end there. After the hug, he didn't walk away. Oh no. He stayed there, lingering next to the president like a man surveying his property, not standing behind Mnangagwa, not beside him respectfully. No, Tagwirei stood like a CEO beside his spokesperson. Confident, chest puffed, chin raised. It was body language that screamed, I am not here because of the president. He is here because of me. It was subtle, it was masterful, it was humiliating if you know how power works in Zimbabwe. This wasn't golf, it was theater, and the plot, a billionaire reminding the entire country who really holds the leash. Ladies and gentlemen, Mnangagwa has the audacity of arresting journalists and ordinary people for insulting the president just because they commented on what is not happening right in government. However, as we can see from this video, Mnangagwa dines, plays, and spends all his day with disrespect. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put it to you straight. Was this a simple friendly hug or a billionaire power move disguised as charity? Type power in the comments if you saw the disrespect, and type just a hug if you think it was harmless. We want to hear your take because Zimbabwe is watching. Now, back to this scene. Mnangagwa, still smiling awkwardly, tried to play it cool, but the dynamic had already shifted. You could feel it. The president, the commander-in-chief of the defense forces, looked like he needed permission to blink. He was standing beside a man whose companies have been named in scandals, from inflated COVID tenders to fuel import monopolies, and whose shadowy influence touches almost every arm of government. And yet, in this moment, the president looked like the +1 at a wedding, smiling but clearly not in charge. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what state capture looks like when it drops the mask. When the puppet stands beside the puppeteer in full daylight, cameras rolling, and doesn't even try to fake it anymore. There was no attempt to pretend the hug was formal. No press officer jumping in to redirect. Just pure unfiltered power imbalance. Think about this. What kind of businessman hugs a sitting president like his nephew at a birthday party, then stands next to him as if he's the one receiving the welcome? In Zimbabwe, only one kind. The kind who funds campaigns, controls procurement, and allegedly bankrolls the very system Mnangagwa depends on to stay in power. And Mnangagwa, he laughed. Because what else do you do when your legacy depends on someone else's wallet? You pretend it's all fine. You call it a gesture of friendship. You tell yourself the country doesn't notice. But we do. We see it. We see a president captured by his own financier, a man who can't even be respected at a golf event. The message was clear. Tagwirei didn't just hug Mnangagwa, he hugged his position, his influence, his dependence, and the way he stood beside him afterward, tall, unbothered, smug, said more than any press release could ever say. This wasn't about sport or charity. This was about publicly demonstrating the hierarchy. A billionaire above a president, a wallet above a vote. And if that doesn't make your blood boil, then perhaps you are already used to the stench of executive puppetry. Because in Zimbabwe, it's not elections that decide who leads. It's men like Tagwirei with deep pockets, deep connections, and deep disrespect for the very institutions they own. So let's call it what it was. A moment of humiliation for the president, for the country, and a standing ovation for chronic capitalism. Because when a man can disrespect the president in public and still be praised, what does that say about the country? The law about disrespecting the office of the president should actually have been created for things like this. Not criticizing the president, not criticizing the form of governance. People who disrespect the president in public practically like this are the ones where this law was supposed to be applied. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are tired of watching billionaires part presidents like interns, if you are sick of seeing Zimbabwe's dignity reduced to a power flex on a golf course, then subscribe to Zimwaves TV, where we show you the truth they desperately want to hide behind golf clubs and photo ops. Because sometimes a hug isn't just a hug, it's a leash. And from the look of things, it looks like Mnangagwa is on Tagwirei's leash.